Hey guys, what is up? My name is Kaylee. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to discuss my TBR for the winter edition of FantasyAthon. So FantasyAthon goes from December 13th through the 22nd. It's a nice long readathon, a little bit longer than the typical week because fantasy is usually a lot to get through, and unsurprisingly, my TBR is a little bit ambitious, so let's get into the prompts and what I'll be reading for them. Also, I'll have all of the hosts linked down below. Maddie from The Book Pusher is the host alongside Allie Corbett and Julie from Pages and Pens. I will have everyone linked down below. Without further ado, some of the prompts how am I going to do this? I'm going to tell you the prompts that fit for one book instead of doing the prompts in order. If you want to look at the prompts in order, feel free to check out any of the hosts' channels and they will have that. But I am attempting to read 4 books in the, 9 to 10 days that we'll be doing this, and they're pretty thick, so let's see. So the first book I will be reading will be via audiobook. So one of the prompts is to read a fantasy in a format that is not typical for you. I do read audiobooks, and I do read digitally, and I do read physically, so there's not really something that fits this mold for me, but audiobooks are still my least read books, so I'm counting it. I will be reading Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. This also fits the prompts as a book that is a favorite of one of the hosts. Maddie over at The Book Pusher really likes this book and has been talking about it for as long as I've been watching her channel. It's been on my TBR since then, and I just haven't gotten around to it, so right now seems like the perfect excuse to throw that audiobook on my TBR. And it will also count as a diverse fantasy. This is a story about a girl named Maggie who lives on like an old Navajo reservation, and there's a lot of things going on in terms of like gods walking the earth, but also monsters. And she has to, if I'm not mistaken, figure out how to rid the world of these monsters. But there's like one big specific monster that turns out to be not like what everyone thinks. Believe that's the case. I know that there is a second book in the series, so this could also fit the prompt of starting a new series, though I have a different book for that if everything goes as planned. So moving on, the next prompt is a backlist or a debut title, and I went with backlist because if you've watched my videos for early December, late November, one of the series I want to finish before 2020 is the Renegade series by Marissa Meyer, of which there are 3 books, and I have only read the first Renegades. So I would like to read my backlist title of Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer. This storyline is about it's kind of like an urban fantasy in which there are superheroes, and some of them are, revered and godlike amongst humans. But then there's the like anarchist style people who don't believe in these overarching powers being the ones, like, there's just a clash between people that use their superpowers for good and people that use them in like an anarchist type way. And you follow a person from each category in the first book. I'm sure it continues into the next one, but I can't guarantee that. Also, the one that's an anarchist infiltrates the superheroes that are like the police, basically, to try and, plot against them. At the end of it, there's kind of like a cliffhanger at the end, and I'm really excited to get to Arch Enemies. I can't believe I put it off a whole year and allowed the 3rd book to come out without me even reading Arch Enemies, which brings us to the next prompt, which is read a new series or read on in a series, and that will be Supernova by Marissa Meyer. So if I could get both of these books read in those 10 days, I will consider myself very successful, because these are 2 books that I really, really want to get done before 2020. So that is my main goal, is the Marissa Meyer books. Now, before I get into the last prompt that I will be doing, there is a group book, which is Winterwood by Shay Earnshaw. I don't have my hands on a copy, and I don't intend to get my hands on a copy. I really did like her first book, The Wicked Deep. I gave it a solid 3 stars. It was really well written, but kind of predictable. And Winterwood just hasn't been on my radar, so I'm not going to stress about getting it just to read it as the group book. But I've heard decent reviews so far. So if you do participate and read the group book, I look forward to seeing what you think about it. I will not be taking part in that. Lastly, then, is the prompt to read a hype fantasy. I feel like Arch Enemies and Supernova could fit in that category, but there's another book that I really want to read. If I don't get to it in FantasyAthon, it'll probably be what I read directly after FantasyAthon, but that is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. The Night Circus, can you see it? Oh, there it is one of my favorite books from the year that I read it, which I believe was 2017. It must have been 2017 because I read it before I started a booktube channel. Absolutely loved it, and I've heard so many people absolutely love this. I've also heard some people that just couldn't jive with the way it's written, but the same was said about The Night Circus, and I absolutely loved it. This is about a guy named Zachary who loves books, basically, and it has to do with like secret societies and I think something to do with the books he reads, like coming to life type deal. I'm not entirely sure. I do know that there is a lot of queer representation in this book. I am really, really looking forward to it. I know that Lexi over at Alexander Roslin she's talked about it in a few of her videos that she had started it and was loving it, and like only 50 pages in. I've seen a ton of other people. I know Bren, I will link all these people down below, has been talking about it since she read it. It is quite a thick book, and it is an adult fiction novel, so the text is small, and I tend to take my time with books like this. So 10 days plus the other books on my list is stretching it, but I've done really well with 'Tis the Season-a-thon, so maybe December will be my month. So that is it. This plus Trail of Lightning. Look at this. This is big. This is heavy right now. I could work out lifting these, right? Okay, so anyway, wish me luck. Let me know down below if you're participating and what you intend to read. I don't know. I don't know what to start with. Maybe Arch Enemies and Trail of Lightning will be the first things I jump into. So the 13th is Friday. It is now Sunday when I am filming, so I've got a few days to fit in another book or two before then, so we'll see how December stacks up. I would really like to get as much of the books I really am anticipating loving done before December, because I have some pretty good reading plans for the next year, and we'll see how that all pans out. That's it for me though, guys. Thanks for being here. Like if you like this video, subscribe if you are new here and would like to see more content from me. I post all my social media links down below. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads. I hope you're having a great day. Again, I hope you're participating. I love FantasyAthon. I love fantasy, obviously. And that's it for me, guys. You have a great day, and happy holidays if you participate in any holidays this year. See you soon.